A new week in the NBA, and the work begins anew once again, as it always does here on the Splash Play channel. 3-game NBA slate football going on tonight. We're still going to dig and prepare like we need to. Comparing my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see who my top plays are, who theirs are, who the top values are. Go game by game as well. Check the ownership along the way. See what the leverage plays look like. We'll run a sim on Stokastic without my interference. By this video, we'll do a single lineup sim too. By this video, you know all the industry's must plays along with my splash plays. Today's NBA slate, December 8th. Let's get into it. Hope it was a good weekend for you guys. It's honestly, I got to be real with you guys, not the most fun slate in the world, I feel like, on paper. Not a lot of high projected guys. Some guys that are Q tags right now are a downgrade of note, Anthony Edwards. So if he doesn't play, it's going to change things around pretty meaningfully. We'll get a lot more Julius Randle. I'll get a lot more Jaden McDaniels, get a lot more, basically whatever's left of the T-Wolves, because Anthony Edwards is a high-usage player. And, of course, when we take a high-usage player out of a lineup, that does mean that other guys benefit meaningfully, because there's only one ball to go around. And without Anthony Edwards chucking it up time after time, the other guys will have a lot more opportunity. Shout out to the chat. Should be AR season. We're talking about Anthony Richardson. It's not the time. He's injured still. I think he's on IR. Like it up. Yes, indeed. Happy Monday, all. I'm Guy Fieri. Welcome to Dunks, Dimes. What are we doing here? What are the... You go to ChatGPT for chat jokes here? What are we doing? And shout out Shunk. Appreciate all you guys being here. But let's start the process for this 3-gamer. Might make good time today as a result of it being a 3-gamer. We got Pascal Siakam, $8,800 salary today on DraftKings. I'm at a 42.4 projection. Stokastic has him at 42.2. You are seeing a very chalky Siakam today because he is getting the benefit of playing the Sacramento Kings and their awful defense at home as well. A slight pace up for Indiana today. Also facing a Kings team giving up 120 points per 100 possessions. For Pascal Siakam, I'm a little bit under here on my I guess my projection is a little bit higher than Stokastic, but ownership, I'm at 36% of my top 150. Fields at 40%. Siakam putting up 1.22 fantasy points a minute. He's playing the Kings, really no issue with that. But his usage, actually, no complaint about his usage either. 29%, that's solid. I think the big thing is that you can see an outlier game for Mathurin. You can see an outlier day for Nembhard. Nembhard in particular projects as a better value. TJ McConnell off the bench also projects a better value overall at 4,500, point guard only. So for Siakam, there are ways this game cannot go directly in his hands, but he is your highest usage Pacers player, facing a team that is bad defensively. So Siakam, no issue with the ownership here, even though I'm a little bit under it right now. Anthony Edwards, talked about the Q tag for him, a downgrade to questionable for an illness, I believe. So would tend to think the rule of thumb is that he will not play, but that has not always been the case this year. For Anthony Edwards, though, $9,500. I am a little bit lower in projection, about 3 fantasy points lower than Stokastic. As a result, I'm only getting about 8% of my lineups. Fields expected to be at 22%. But if you get Anthony Edwards out, again, everybody for the T-Wolves will look better. And right now, I'm above the field on Randall. So I presume I would get even more Randall, but the field would also get more Randall if you do get Anthony Edwards out. Obviously, we know how that goes. De'Aaron Fox, 9,400, getting Stephon Castle back in today. Not good for him. Wemby also going to return soon, it looks like, but not today. For De'Aaron Fox, getting Castle in, it just hurts the usage enough here that I would have a really hard time paying for Fox's $9,400 salary. As it is, the field's expected to be there at 8.3%. I'm getting a 2.7. Get another player here who does not look like a great value at 4.3x. But on this slate, there really aren't a lot of great value plays. So guys like De'Aaron Fox, if they hit 50, you might just need them to win tonight. And that's really where, if you get the ownership to pretty much any of these guys, you got to be willing to take it. Julius Randle, the aforementioned other T-Wolf here, will look a lot better if we get Anthony Edwards out. If we don't get him out, though, actually, real fast, we got enough time. Let's look at the T-Wolves rates without Anthony Edwards in case we get that outcome, because I do want to prepare you guys for the either or. Because really, if these guys are in, you're going to get them because there's only so many teams on the slate. If Edwards is in, if Edwards is out, it's going to be a meaningfully different situation. So you'd expect Julius Randle to look the best, and obviously would have anyway. But he's averaged 1.3 fantasy points per minute at about 502 possessions. So not quite the 1,000 possessions we want for those rates to be fully locked in and stabilized. But still a pretty good number for Randle here. Naz Reid without Edwards putting up 1.2 fantasy points a minute. Joan Behringer, Joan, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but Behringer, 1 fantasy point per minute. That doesn't matter too much. Leonard Miller, same thing. Gobert 0.93, DiVincenzo 0.93, Jaden McDaniels 0.92. Gains a little bit in usage, but not as much as I thought. But really, Randall being the big winner, Naz Reid being a big winner would be the stuff that stands out if you don't get Edwards. But as it is, Randall looks like an okay play on a slate where there isn't great value. Pivot points, Pascal Siakam for sure. But Julius Randle right now making 19% of my lineups, Fields at 14. Even a limited Castle hurts that Fox upside. I mean, yeah, Castle's been a really high usage player this year with Wemby off the court. Obviously, the team is now close to full health with at least the guards, with Fox being in now, and also Dylan Harper being back in the rotation as well. So for, all those guys, I think they're all equally impacted. And I think Castle doesn't look particularly playable either. It's pretty expensive. Trey Murphy, flat with the Fields ownership here, 41% for the field, 41% for me. Trey Murphy, my projections, 1 fantasy point higher, but that doesn't matter. Still no Zion, still no Jordan Poole, so Trey Murphy is your highest usage guys theoretically. That said, we have seen some more Derek Queen. We have seen Jeremiah Fears. We have seen Sadiq Bey getting up to a 20% usage rate as well. But Trey Murphy at 25%, his rate's been on the way up without Zion and Poole on the court. And I think for Trey Murphy, he's one of those guys where he shoots well. It always feels like he should shoot a lot more times per game than he does. And he doesn't always add enough in rebounds and assists, but still does get a little bit in those categories. And if things really go well, he could spike a big upside there. I want to be with Trey Murphy on the slate at 7,800, and especially if you get no Anthony Edwards. At that point, you're talking about Trey Murphy versus an overpriced Stephon Castle versus Colin Gillespie, who I think looks okay, but I think Trey Murphy's a strong play, but would only get better. Dylan Brooks. So to be real with you guys, I had to mute Dylan Brooks' projection a little bit because I was getting him in 95% of lineups. As you guys know, if you watch the streams, my projections really like Dylan Brooks have this entire year because he's been getting up a lot more shots as a Phoenix Sun, and the rates get even more in favor of Dylan Brooks now. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go to NBA Wowie and show you guys on screen because I feel like this is one of those things where the people that are like negative about my projections will go like, oh, like he's got Dylan Brooks so high. But this is why you get Dylan Brooks so high. We're taking Devin Booker off, who is unavailable for a little bit longer. Jalen Green, no timetable for his return. He's out as well. But you can see here, so Dylan Brooks only averaging 0.98 fantasy points a minute, but he's getting up 35% usage. Also 4 assists per 100 possessions as well is an increase for him. He basically is becoming a more ball-dominant guard because he thinks that he's like the top option when Booker is not on the court. So for how I feel about Dylan Brooks, I think that the rates are there. They support it. Certainly, though, Brooks' usage is a little bit high. It does feel like more could flow towards Colin Gillespie, but really Brooks too. And let's quickly go to Popcorn Machine. I think it makes the case better. So we have a high usage for Brooks. And in a game last time out versus Houston, which got not competitive pretty fast, but basically didn't get their fourth quarter stint because it was a blowout. But Dylan Brooks was on pace to play. He played 11 minutes, let's say, in the first quarter, about 10. He played like 21 out of 24 minutes in the first quarter, or the first half, rather. So for Dylan Brooks and Colin Gillespie, I got good minutes as well. Like, I don't want to poo-poo that. But Dylan Brooks is getting a ton of minutes. He's getting a ton of usage. That's kind of spot where like he could break the slate at 6,600. And small forward, which is not a great position today either. You have basically him and Mathurin as your options in that price here. I think he's a good play. So Fields at 38%. The projection is still high enough for Stokastic that you'll get there a lot. But for me, he's like not in every lineup play, but like a lot of lineups play. And I think for the field, it's not going to be all the way there. Let's see. How do I use my ownership numbers if I'm playing in a SG single entry? I don't know how to answer that question. It's ownership. It tells you where the field's going to be. It's not going to be too different for a single entry. But it's also Stokastic's ownership. It's not my ownership. With Anthony Edwards off the court, whose fantasy points per minute? We just did that. What is this, guys? Let me get back on track. I just did that on screen. That's Stephon Castle. Scroll back. Stephon Castle, 21% ownership for me. Fields at 3. Castle does grade out better to me at 37.7 projection. So Castle has him at 33.6. He's coming off a multi-game injury, though. So this 27 minutes might be an aggressive stance for him to get there. But I think Castle is always projected better for me overall. I have him just 3 fantasy points behind De'Aaron Fox. I guess more like 2.5. So Castle, it's a 3-game slate. I would get him here. If this were a 10-game slate, we had a few better projected guys that are in his price range. I don't think you get there as much. But Castle, 21% for me. Fields at 3. Pretty big stand in favor of Stephon Castle as return. Obviously, assuming he starts too. If he doesn't start, I would knock him down a little bit. We got Russell Westbrook, 28% ownership for my top 150. Fields at 12. Westbrook minutes don't look great in that projection. What did he play last time for Sacramento? Sacramento played Miami, won by 16. And Westbrook got 32 minutes almost. Yeah, I mean, look, those are better minutes that Stokastic has given him. I'm not sure what is weird about the rotation that they think he would have less minutes normally. Be a kind of long third quarter stint where they brought in Malik Monk. It might be that. Just Malik Monk's minutes are a little bit low, so I think Westbrook's were high in this game, I think would be it. But for Russell Westbrook, I think a decent play as well. Obviously, we know the ceiling for Westbrook in terms of like he can put up a triple-double still, even though it's not the most efficient game usually. But I'm at 28% ownership, Fields at 12. So get another guy here. We're taking the stab at ceilings because it's a 3-game slate. Nobody projects that well. Colin Gillespie, 46% of my lineups, Fields at 32. Another guy who does benefit from having no Devin Booker in, obviously, both minutes-wise and usage and assist rate-wise. Gillespie gets up to a 26% usage rate without Booker and Jalen Green. 28% assist rate. He's normally at a 20% usage rate, 26% assist rate. So noteworthy increases there. And I would have Gillespie for about 1.1 fantasy points per minute today. So for Colin Gillespie, I think a strong play as well. And certainly if Dylan Brooks' projection for me is a little bit high, I think some of that's got to flow Gillespie's way most likely. Though I am high on Gillespie relative to Stokastic. I'm at a 33.5 projection. Stokastic's at 32.6. It's just a reflection of what my ownership. You could use it however you want. I don't know what. I'm not giving you the answers to a test. It's just my data, and you gamble based upon how you view a slate. But for a 3-game slate, guys, really making my brain bleed a little bit. All right. If you're single entry the chalk, it's chalkier. There you go. That's a good way to read it. But he's asking about my exposure. I don't know. It's just these are the players I'm high on, is I guess what to read into it, but you can play whatever you want. Benedict Mathurin, 35% ownership for the field. I'm at 17. Mathurin, price tag at 7K looks decent. Certainly with a good amount of ownership going Siakam's way. I think we're going to have a good amount on Nembhard as well at 48% based on Stokastic data here. It seems like for Benedict Mathurin, he's your leverage against those guys, but he's comparably owned. So if my data is going to give me the other guys more, I'll take them more. But Stokastic right now has him for a 35.1 projection. Mathurin, that is, I've got him at 33, so I'm a little bit lower. That explains why my ownership is lower as well. And Nembhard, I'm with the field on. He is keeping his usage pretty decently so far with now a little bit more competitive grouping with having Mathurin healthy, having Siakam healthy. But Nembhard holding steady at 24% usage, 32% assist rate. He is only at 0.96 fantasy points per minute compared to about 1 for Mathurin, 1.2 for Siakam. Even 1.24 for TJ McConnell on the year. So Nembhard, the least productive of that group, but because he plays D and creates and can shoot well enough, he stays on the court pretty well, and that's really the big thing for him. Him, Mathurin, and Siakam, the only guys in the Pacers who project for over 30 minutes. In fact, the only guys who project for over 25 on that Pacers lineup. So they're all valid plays today. They're playing a not great defense. That's all stuff that matters. And I'm glad we got there, Javier. Sorry if I didn't get your question right, but hopefully tried to answer it as best I can. But guys, let's sort by value here. And of course, before we get into the value side of the equation for this little 3-game slate, please do hit that like button. Please subscribe. Again, goes a long way for me here. I'm just one person showing you my gambling, how I'm going to approach NBA slates here Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern all those days. I'm also on Stokastic streams Saturday, so if you want to ride along with me 6 days a week for the NBA, you can. But help me out. Hit that like button, subscribe. The channel is growing at a very fast rate, but at this point, the NFL channel today just hit 5K subs. I'm curious when we can hit 5K on this channel. I think there's an outside shot of doing it at the end of the NBA season. So let's try to get that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. It does help me out a lot here. Get seen by more people. And there's a big way I'm able to do what I do. Another way I'm able to do what I do is you guys joining Stokastic, 15% off for all of their stuff. What's the cheap packages, the expensive stuff, NBA plus NFL kind of stuff as well. Get that for yourself. Link down below. Use the promo code SPLASH. And that 15% off is the only deal they have going. And it does support the show. Half the money you pay to them comes back to me. So please do click that and check it out. And last but not least, if you want to support the show, join the channel here, $5. I would recommend joining on desktop instead of iOS because you get charge less VIG doing it on desktop. But do check it out here. $5 to join. You get access to the Discord. And if you join one of the Squirt Squad tiers, you get the very data and screens here that I show you on stream. So check it out and join if you can and do all that. All right. No shade on Josh. What are we talking about? I didn't have any shade on anything. I don't know what we're talking about. Josh starts our morning. Who's sucking? Oh, there. That's it. I was like, whoa, I missed the chat. Spags, there'll be a disgruntled Pelican like Josh. Oh, are we like a disgruntled Pelican like a New Orleans player? Disgruntled Pelican like you're being mean about his nose. I think that's. I'm curious. I would like follow. But yes, I love Josh. Josh was one of my longest term friends in the industry. So I fully support our good friend Josh Engelman. Dylan Brooks, we saw him already here, but he's in a ton of my lineups. Again, my projection's high on him, but I do think the underlying usage and minutes justify it. That said, I think my Dylan Brooks number, if you flow more towards the other Suns, that wouldn't be a crazy thing to do. In particular, Grayson Allen, like his rates don't increase that much with Devin Booker off the court, but he is a guy that's out there a lot, kind of does similar things. So certainly, if he has an outlier day, Dylan Brooks would play worse. Theoretically, Gillespie would play worse too, not just because they're both white guys, but that's that. Andrew Nembhard, we talked about. Fears coming up at 6,100 for me. Projected to play about 31 minutes, getting him in 51% of my lineups. Fields at 30. So for Jeremiah Fears here, think he's looking pretty good at this price tag. And really, the minutes have been more secure lately, not getting jerked around as much for Alvarado. So I would say for Jeremiah Fears, think that he is a kind of player I get to a lot with the high usage and a decent assist rate, and he gets some steals and stuff all frequently enough. Fears willing to be there again today. He and Derek Queen, two guys that are coming up from the Pelicans. Maxime Reynaud. So talked about him on Friday's video, and he ended up paying Friday, Saturday, whatever it was. Last time he started, it all blurs together. Mentioned him on whatever content I did that he would look good to me. Thought that he would start. Ended up starting, playing pretty well. He's not a great, lights out producer, but he can shoot some threes, does rim run pretty well, can get the occasional block. His minutes too. Where's that last game for Sacramento? Versus Miami here, played 25 minutes. I think there was foul trouble here. Got one foul. He picked up a second. Not sure if it's foul trouble why he got sat, or they just wanted to bring in Precious Achiuwa for defense. They won the game with him starting. That's a good sign. Minutes, he closed in that game as well. So Maxime Reynaud, again, not a lights out contributor. There are some guys where it's like, this guy produces 1.5 fan sports minute and is like limited amount of time. Can't wait to see what he does with a full-time starting job. But I do think he can hold steady at the 0.95 fan sports minute he has right now. Maybe it's a little bit better if he starts hitting a few more threes. But Reynaud, I think, looks decent here at 5K. And on the slate, him and Cornette, 4,900. Neither a super exciting play. Both starting centers getting reasonable minutes. And on this kind of slate, you balance it out, it gets a little bit better. TJ McConnell, we talked about already a little bit. Think that he is your pivot point to your higher owned, guaranteed minutes pace for starters. McConnell can produce really well, really fast against a Kings team that is not very good, and again, does play a little bit faster, so McConnell should play into that fairly well. If for some reason the Kings shoot well again and you need defense, that's where McConnell could lose a few minutes. But if he plays 18 at 4,500, that price might allow you to get the guys you need in a winning lineup. So I think McConnell worth being near the field on. Fields at 32%. I'm getting 31. Trey Murphy, we talked about. Gillespie, I feel like we've talked about enough already, but he looks like a decent value. I'm above the field on him meaningfully. Dylan Harper getting a little bit less than the field here, but I do like Dylan Harper in my data. The issue for him is that you're getting Stephon Castle back in that does limit the minutes, a ceiling for sure for him, and it's already seemingly been fairly limited from him playing off the bench. Fox is healthy, and also Harper coming off the injury. Maybe they're not trying to ramp his minutes up too much, but having Castle in, those minutes are definitely going to be lower ceiling, lower floor as well. So Dylan Harper here, not an exciting click with his minutes not super guaranteed, but he is one of those guys that could score a lot of points fast off the bench. So I think for him, happy to be a little bit under the field, or at least, close to it as I can be. Derek Queen, I'm a little bit above on, getting 31%, Fields at 27. No Zion still, and Queen does seemingly seem locked into the amount of minutes he's going to get. High 20s, maybe has a shot at getting 30 in certain situations. I don't think that's happened much lately. But Derek Queen always looks good to me, and on a slate where not a ton of great options at center, I think he looks as good as any of them. And Naz Reid, we talked about, if you get Anthony Edwards out, it's going to look even better. As it is, he's in about a third of my lineups and the fields, and certainly without Ant, that number is going to come up a good amount. He'll probably be in about half the ownership, I would guess, or half the lineups in the projected ownership. Let's see. Missed Ethan Thompson. I don't think he'll project for much of anything. A 20 fantasy point projection, so not a good value. Not really a guy that would come up for me. Let's see. Injury report out on Brooks. He's not questionable, I don't think. But the injury report is out. It's on the NBA website. If ever you want to check it here, you could see me clicking it right now. Then it opens a PDF and you can go through and see who's available. No, Dylan Brooks is a Q tag, my bad. But left Achilles soreness. He didn't get hurt in the last game. He might have gotten hurt, but he could have played, I think. They were just getting blown out, so he didn't come back in. But anyway, let's go to the game-by-game view, guys. We've gotten our value stuff, right? We covered all these guys. So let's go game by game. Hey, you got one more ask. Hit that like button, subscribe. Again, I hate having to do this like a radio DJ, but people come in and watch, and I got to keep fighting the YouTube algorithms to help me out. Hit that like button, subscribe. Goes a long way here. And, of course, new videos every Monday to Friday and 2 p.m. And check out Stokastic. The data will update there. If you want the best market data you can find, check them out. 15% off. A link down below. The only deal they have going. Again, for all the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff, do check it out. All right, Sacramento, 115 implied points. As it is, we're getting no Domantas Sabonis still. Trade rumors floating around for him. We'll see if he plays another game for the Kings at this point. But Russell Westbrook, getting him 2x the field. Maxime Reynaud, getting him almost 3x the field. These are my big stands. Zach LaVine went nuts last time out. Maybe he's turned a quarter, but he really has been shooting well on the year. He's not shooting enough. He's not adding enough in rebounds and assists. So unless he's just going to get a ton of shots up like he did last time that they played, I don't know that you're really feeling good about it. So for Zach LaVine, 4x projection for me, not looking too good, but certainly these guys have opportunity against an Indiana team that's not particularly good either. Like they're getting up 117.4 points, 100. That's bad. Sacramento's getting up 120 points per 100. That's bad. The total's pretty good for Sacramento here at 115. So really, like on a 3-game slate, you want to make a case for any of these guys. You can. It's just not really there in their projection. So the median outcome does not look good. Ceiling's still there for sure. There's a lot of caps lock going in the chat, but sometimes people have caps lock on because they have jobs where you're required caps lock, and sometimes people just like to do it stylistically. So I don't know. It's pretty aggressive. Feels like I'm being yelled at, but when you're saying things like appreciation, the sentiment's there. So I appreciate the sentiment. Indiana, 119.5 implied points. Pascal Siakam, your highest, well, one of your highest owned guys. Really, they're all going to be highly owned. But Nembhard, 48%. Mathurin, 35% for the field. Siakam and 40. I'm close enough to the field on Siakam and Nembhard. That's fine by me. Mathurin, I'm a little bit low on. I think really flattening the ownership out on these guys would be logical. It's just a good spot against Sacramento. They're not a good defense at all. One of the worst defenses in the NBA. Not quite Wizards territory, but about as bad as you can get. Let's see. Yeah, and McConnell, again, I feel like we've talked enough about. Nothing really here that I think I want to go crazily above the field on. And I think I'd really need somebody to get ruled out for that to be the case for any of them. But certainly your big 3 are playable. Nobody else is really going to play enough minutes at that point. Thank you for caps locking it. My projections are not with Ant out. They are still with him in for now because he's still questionable. I mean, it's questionable. The rule of thumb is, I use stochastic minutes, as you guys know, hopefully at this point. If anybody's questionable, that stays in the data set. Usually it's when they get doubtful is when they're taken out. So it's the rule of thumb here. And some people do just want to be heard. I get it. Isn't Clifford playing minutes now? They've got him for 7.7. You played 18 last game, but you're still, for minutes, you're generally building off of median outcomes. So yeah, if you want to give him 14, that's fine. He's not going to look like a great play at 14, though. He's barely producing. So like whatever he's doing or not doing really doesn't matter that much when you're producing 0.67 fantasy points per minute. He can play 20 minutes of that at those rates, and he shouldn't be even remotely on your radar. Even on a 3-gamer. Phoenix, 107 implied points. Minnesota, 115.5. On paper, not a great matchup against Minnesota, but at this point, they're basically the same teams defensively. 114 points per 100 given up by Minnesota, 114.4 given up by Phoenix. So Phoenix, I think we would think is like a dumpster fire team, but in reality, they're defensively close to 1-to-1. Obviously, different pieces and all that. Gobert, much better rim defender than a guy like Mark Williams, but the net result's the same. For Colin Gillespie and Dylan Brooks, you get the big glow up that they both get without Devin Booker in. As you can see here, I have a lot of projection extra going on Dylan Brooks compared to Stokastic, about 4.1 fantasy points higher in my data. Gillespie, I'm also about 1 fantasy point higher above the field on both the result, but really think if you're getting 33 to 40% of those guys, Gillespie and Brooks, that's cool. You're with the field then. If you want to go over like I am here, they're going to be in half to 75% of my lineups most likely. Mark Williams, I'm low on here. Don't think he gets a rate increase of much note without Devin Booker. And really, I think the other centers just project better for me at cheaper price tags. So the field's playing Mark Williams at 24%. He does have slate breaking upside, so I don't want to poo-poo that that much when he's producing 1.15 fantasy points per minute. But the minutes are not the best at 25.6. And, he's okay. He's just not coming up for me. Minnesota, Anthony Edwards right now in the data set as we talked about, but I'm only getting him an 8% fields at 22. My projection is much lower on him. I would love the T-Wolves much more if you get Anthony Edwards out. For Julius Randle, he would be the biggest beneficiary if Ant's out. We saw the fantasy points minute. Naz Reid, also a pretty big winner, though certainly he doesn't gain in minutes as directly from Anthony Edwards being out. Gobert, to me, getting half the field right now. I assume that would come up a little bit just because of more shots to go around if Anthony Edwards isn't playing. Jaden McDaniels, I'm a little bit above the field, but again, would need Ant for him to be out for that to meaningfully change. DiVincenzo, same thing. Basically, all these guys, Randall, Reed, Gobert, McDaniels, DiVincenzo, picking up ownership now. If they play and Edwards is out, they're all going to look a lot better. And Conley, I guess, maybe comes into play, but probably not really. Wolves total, same as Kings, just saying. Yeah, 0.5 higher for, which, is the same. Yeah, that's a fair point. Fair point. San Antonio here, 123 implied points. And for what it's worth, too, that Minnesota game, obviously we need to know Ant's status. That one's at 7:30, so you might not know it before lock. Hopefully you will, but there's a chance that you might not know. And if that's the case, be prepared to late swap because that's going to be really important. But obviously, if Ant's in, then you might not get a lot of T-Wolves or not get, much more T-Wolves than you would anyway. San Antonio, 123 implied points. New Orleans, 113.5 implied. Getting Stephon Castle here does hurt the top tier of guys where Fox barely coming up for me. I'm getting Castle at 21%. I also have him for 1.4 fantasy points per minute, mostly because he's been gunning in court time without Wemby. But obviously Fox being in is going to knock it down a little bit. But for short slate, if a guy looks good in my data like Castle does, want to take the stand here, and he doesn't even look good really, but he looks like a better play, and that's one way to get different from the field here. Devin Vassell, 18% ownership for the field. I'm at 10, but still some ownership for the field coming up. Doesn't look awful on a slate where nobody's really a 5x play. He's another guy that's not a 5x play. Keldon Johnson I'm getting a little bit more of at 5,200, small forward, power forward. The positionality probably helps a little bit. Harrison Barnes getting 21% of. Luke Cornett getting 40 here is one of the center values that I like more than Mark Williams. Basically a similar projection to Mark Williams at cheaper. Dylan Harper, I'm getting with the field on. It's a good matchup going against the Pelicans. Not a high-paced spot, but really bad defense. Good up almost 123 points per 100 possessions. So you could be there, but nothing looks great for San Antonio, I feel like. Cornett, maybe the best option. And New Orleans, Trey Murphy coming up for me here. He's been getting up a lot more shots, even against a tough defensive matchup like Minnesota, or at least a theoretically tough one like Minnesota. Trey Murphy, though, can disappear in games, but I do like the upside. So Trey Murphy, happy to be with the field here. And if I get a little bit above, I'm totally happy with that as well. Sadiq Bey, not coming up much for me here, even though my projection is 0.6 higher than Stokastic. Fields at 15, I'm getting 5. Derek Queen, a little bit above, as we talked about. Fields at 27, I'm getting 31. Jeremiah Fears, pretty big stand for me here at 51%, Fields at 30. And then I'm not getting much Alvarado. Certainly with the ownership for Fears, you can take the shot on Alvarado, stealing a few minutes away. That has paid off many times this year in NBA DFS. Herb Jones, Q tag right now. He's in the data set. If he doesn't play, Bay will look better. PV and McGowan's get more minutes, but they probably still won't be playable. And that's the 3-game slate. So let's go to the Sims next. You see what my data looks like. Now we can see what Stokastic has without my interference, guys. We'll build 10,000 lineups. They'll compete 10,000 times. But before we do that, let's click that like button 10,000 times. Let's say it actually, you only have to click it once, but if you want to click it 10,000 times, you can. But it does go a long way for me here. Again, I am just here every day, a humble proprietor of my own data, but also showing you stochastic stuff, trying to take you around the industry as best I can. And that's the work we're doing here, both for my own process, but also for you guys here every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. So hit that like button and subscribe. It does helps me get seen by more people on YouTube, and that is a big part of the battle here as I am regularly learning. And also, make sure to hit that link down below. Promo code SPLASH over at Stokastic gets you 15% off. It's the best deal they have going right now, and would love to keep up the goals that I'm hitting for converting you guys on. They were really more than anything. Having Sims tools, really important part of the process. If nothing else, having data, a really important part of the process. So do check it out. And if you're playing NBA, you're not using either, and you're losing, change your process. If you're winning, keep doing what you're doing, I guess. I'd be shocked if there was anybody. You guys might tell me in the chat, there's gonna be somebody like, I win every day and I don't touch it. But like, really, it's very hard to win. And like on a DraftKings DFS, like prop betting, maybe not as much. But without using Sims tools, without using projection data from something reputable, whether it is Stokastic or, my own, it is important. So try to do that. If you're losing and you're not doing that, step one. Your top ROI lineups, though, according to Stokastic right now, nothing has been different injury-wise. We got TJ McConnell, Zach LaVine, Dylan Brooks, Jay Huff, Luke Cornett, Andrew Nembhard, Jaden McDaniels, De'Aaron Fox. So nothing crazy here, except you're getting Fox, I guess. But trying to get the low-owned upside with Fox. Dylan Brooks makes a lineup, too. Happy to see that. No real issues. Maybe McConnell and Nembhard theoretically pull from each other a little bit. But they're in this lineup, too. Number 2, Andrew Nembhard, Malik Monk, Benedict Mathurin, Jay Huff, Derek Queen, TJ McConnell, Julius Randle, Dylan Brooks. Number 3, TJ McConnell, Trey Murphy, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Maxime Reynaud, Andrew Nembhard, Dylan Brooks, and Don DiVincenzo. So McConnell and Nembhard together in the top 3 lineups according to Stokastic data. Number 4, Andrew Nembhard, Malik Monk, Jaden McDaniels, Pascal Siakam, Rudy Gobert, Don DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, Derek Queen. A lot of T-Wolves even with Anthony Edwards in the data set. And number 5, Andrew Nembhard, Colin Gillespie, DeMar DeRozan makes this one, Jay Huff, Mark Williams, Jeremiah Fears, Dylan Brooks again, and Derek Queen again. Overall, the highest ROI players, nobody in a positive ROI, but we still care about the directional way that this is pointing across all the sim lineups. Your top guys, Maxime Reynaud, our rim running French guy at 5K. And, for what it's worth, he is a white guy. I don't know if that's going to help sell anybody out there. But I feel like when I keep saying rim running, I feel like that almost sounds like code word. But he's a white guy, so that makes you want to play him. Number 2, Malik Monk, not that far behind Maxime Reynaud. Jay Huff here. Somebody's asking about Jay Huff. He's coming up number 3 ROI guy. Volatile minutes, but if he does hit a ceiling, certainly his shot can fall against the Kings team that does not play good defense. Number 4, TJ McConnell. Number 5, Andrew Nembhard. These guys were coming in a lot of top ROI lineups, not a surprise. And then right behind them, Jaden McDaniels, Luke Cornett. Highest exposures here. We got Andrew Nembhard is in 63% of the top 150. Field's at 43. So big stand on Nembhard. Not a surprise given that he was in so many of those top ROI lineups. Dylan Brooks at 50%. So I am crazily above the field on Dylan Brooks. But Stokastic still giving you more than the field as well. So Dylan Brooks confirmed good play today. Minnesota, again, defense maybe not as imposing as it once was. Fields at 38% for Dylan Brooks as well. Maxime Reynaud, 43%. The white of the night, Maxime Reynaud. 43% exposure, Fields at 24. So pro stand on Reynaud with his minutes seemingly pretty secure now as the starter with Sabonis out. Maybe the permanent starter now. TJ McConnell, 43% exposure, Fields at 26. Big stand in favor of him and Stokastic's data. And Jay Huff, 39% exposure, Fields at 19. So 2x the field on old Jay Huff. Highest leverage plays here, Jay Huff, 20% more in the field. Nembhard, 19%. Maxime Reynaud, 19. TJ McConnell, 17. Dylan Brooks, 11. I mean, I'm here on most of this besides Jay Huff, I suppose. For the newbies, is that Stokastic with your data? Just Stokastic. This part is just Stokastic's projections. The part where I show you the Google sheet, that's my projections overlaid on Stokastic Sim. So basically the difference with that is that it just makes my projections the way that it weights their field pool of lineups. I've used a tool like SaberSim. It builds out lineups off of your projections. So Stokastic, it just weights guys more on lineups that it's vetted as good tournament lineups is the best way to put it. Say bonjour to my Raynaud exposures. Is he out? Is he? Is he? Why would I be saying bonjour? That means goodbye, right? I hope to not say goodbye to them. Okay, nobody's been ruled out yet, right? RJ Barrett got PRP injection. Oh, Franz Wagner, high ankle sprain, going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, I don't know what Steven's saying there. Anyway, that's your top leverage, guys. Biggest fades here. Trey Murphy, negative 15% leverage. My data likes Trey Murphy, so that'll be one difference for me and the average Stokastic user. Keldon Johnson. I always like a bon voyage. I'm an idiot. That's my bad. I don't speak French, for the record. I only speak French through the prism of things I've learned through pop culture, and that's mostly Disney movies. Though I think Pluribus, a lot of French lately, so maybe that'll help me get there. Bonjour, yes. Say hello to my exposures. Let's not say bon voyage to Maxime Raynaud. Keldon Johnson, negative 11% leverage. We got there. Negative 11% leverage on Keldon Johnson. Look, all the Spurs, they're interchangeable at this point. Getting Stephon Castle in, it doesn't help out anybody. Dante DiVincenzo, negative 10% leverage. That'll change if Anthony Edwards is out, I'm sure. I got there, Tyler. You're on a delay, but I got there. I got there all on my own. Anthony Edwards, negative 9% leverage here. And Harrison Barnes, negative 9. So fading your secondary Spurs. To me, they're getting in enough lineups, but I certainly don't have them well projected. It's just that kind of slate. We're going to do a single lineup sim here. Last stage of our journey, guys. Let's refresh because this seems like this is the old slate. All right. And let me look at my sheet over here. Oh, not my NFL sheet. Though if you do want NFL for me, make sure to check out the Splash Play Pod channel. I do my showdown video already there. And I'll also be on Stokastic's live before lock today at 7:15. So the grind continues on here, guys, for like one more month. The NFL NBA crossover. Though we are in the dying days of NFL, which is kind of crazy. All right. So I'm going to start with here. Fears, I think, would be one of the guys I could start with based on my data. I'm going to do that. I do like Nembhard, a good amount of point guard as well. But Fears will save us some money. And he is really a bigger stand for me than Nembhard, who I'm just holding hands with the field on. Shooting guard for me is Trey Murphy or Gillespie. I would like to get both in if I can. But let's go Gillespie here. Small forward for me is definitely Dylan Brooks. Power forward, I think Siakam or Naz Reid. Naz Reid will look better for sure, as I've mentioned, hopefully enough times to get it through your thick skull. It's going to be your angry sitcom wife. To get it through your guys' head that it will be a much better play if we get Anthony Edwards out. Let's put in Siakam for now. Center for me, Queen, Naz, Frenchie. We got Frenchie, not from the boys. He'll probably outlive the Frenchie from the boys. Maxime Raynaud at center here. Another guard spot. I think this is Nembhard for me here. Too much value? What the fuck are you talking? There's no pay-up options on the slate. It's not, and these guys aren't values. Who's a value? You're talking about too much value on the slate? I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Go home. You're driving me nuts on this. Yeah. Clean it up. I'm not going to mute you. We're not giving you a 5-minute timeout, but you're getting close. One more forward spot. Naz Reid, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, Jaden McDaniels. You could also, let me prioritize getting in Trey Murphy at utility. I'm cool playing 2 centers. Okay, so now we can't afford this. 2,700. It's too much value. If you're talking about this lineup, man, this lineup is lacking in value, if anything. I am going to come down off Siakam and go to, let's go to Naz Reid here instead. Then 5,400 for a forward. Champagny, Keldon Johnson. I like Keldon Johnson. The sim didn't, though. But here we go. So team here is Jeremiah Fears, Colin Gillespie, Dylan Brooks, Naz Reid, Andrew Nembhard, Maxime Raynaud, Keldon Johnson, Trey Murphy. This has a 0.1% win rate, 12.5% ROI. I'll live with it. What would be the pivot points? It didn't like The sim, I think, doesn't have Keldon Johnson well rated. Maybe fears Trey Murphy, right? Let's do that. Let's put on 10% randomness here. See if the sim's better. So this puts in Jaden McDaniels, Pascal Siakam, and TJ McConnell. And that's got a worse ROI. All right, then we're good. I hit my ROI quota. It's a 3-game slate. Let's close this out at a reasonable 45 minutes or so. Well, 40, 45. But let's give one last round of plugs, guys. And we'll give you guys my splash plays for the day, though. Again, it should be obvious from the lineup build usually. Before I do that, one last ask. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Again, it really does go a long way for me here. Just one guy showing you my gambling as best I can. And this is my data that I show you at first, and I show you the market data as the hopes of giving you guys a counterbalance against my own personal biases that will come in. But either way, I'm doing the work for you guys as best I can. Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. here for the NBA. Of course, same thing on my NFL channel. The showdown slates, the main slates on Friday. So please show some love and support what I'm doing here by hitting that like button and subscribing. Another way, to really important way, support what I'm doing here. Click the link down below in the description or use the promo code SPLASH over at Stokastic, because it gets you 15% off over there. All the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff. If you want to get an all sport package, I love it when you do that. Get a monthly one. Use the avatar to save some money as well for those. Some of you guys do that, but really just get whatever you want. 15% off. Again, cheap stuff, expensive stuff, and it does support the show. And of course, join the channel as well. $5 to join on the supporter tier, the Splash Play family tier. But also, if you want to get my data updating throughout the night, my projections, the matchup sheet you see here on screen, that's all available on the Squirt Squad tiers down below. All right, splash plays for today. Dillon Brooks has to be one, assuming he plays. If he doesn't play, the other Suns will look a lot better. Again, in my data right now, I'm assuming Dillon Brooks gets up a 35% usage rate, because that's what he's had without Devin Booker and without Jalen Green on the court. So if you take that off, that's a lot more shots to go around for everybody else. But Dillon Brooks, if he's in. Jeremiah Fears, I think, is one. Maxime Reynaud, our white Frenchie. He is one. I shouldn't keep saying that, but but it's different. Like, I don't want you picturing Alex Sarr when you're thinking of Maxime Reynaud, when he looks like fucking Hamish Linklater from Midnight Mass, and who also looks like Fast Eddie Fear. I don't know if anybody's going to get that reference, but like those two, especially how he looks in Midnight Mass, he looks exactly like Fast Eddie Fear, and it fucking creeps me out. Not in a good way. Like, they're both very handsome men. But like, and he also talks like him. I don't know if anybody on the internet's ever pointed it out, but that's accurate. Other splash plays, Luke Cornett right now, a splash play as a value. Gillespie, I'm above the field on meaningfully. But again, watch out for Edwards being out. That's the big thing. If he's out, all the T-Wolves will look a lot better. In particular, Randall, Naz Reid, all of that. But I'll be on Stokastic's Live Before Lock for NFL later today. Feel free to watch their NBA show too, if that sparks joy for you. And I will see you guys again soon on Missed Fast Eddie on NBA. I don't know why he never started his own channel, because like, he's one of the guys where he had such a cult following. All he needs is like 100 people to pay him $100 a month, and it's probably worth his time. But you know, when people have different things they got going on. That's what I do, is I show up and I take your money to do this. But please hit that like button, subscribe, guys. Gamble responsibly. You've noticed always money time here on these channels. Follow me at Chris Spags, all this channel at Splash Play Bets, or on Twitter at Splash Play Pod, where my NFL and NBA content does flow through. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck, and bye-bye.